Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett alongside my good buddy and co-host, Blake Siebers. Siebes, what's up?
Good morning. I'm glad to see you are in good spirits after yesterday.
I'm in great spirits today, Blake. We are also hanging out today with our good buddy, Dan Rothert from Top Student. What is that? Athlete Recruiting. I can't read it behind you.
Yeah, that's right. See, there you go.
That's right. So that's a shout out for our YouTube channel. So you can see Dan's sweet logo. Did you do that yourself?
Dan, you have to talk. You can't shake your head. People are not watching.
It's still a podcast, not.
No,
I mean,
definitely
not for our
You can hear
YouTube
me?
channel
No,
again.
I'm not that good on computer stuff, right? I'm old, so.
Fair enough. Well, so we're here to talk about the state tournament because finally we are here to the best time of the year. Memorial Day is upon us, and then the following week we get to hang out at county all day, every day, and watch some great soccer.
Yeah, I'm excited. So should we jump into like previewing the boys state tournament, and then we'll get to the girls after the boys?
Yeah, we'll do that.
The boys are on Tuesday, first day.
That's right. We've got Dan here because we can't get everywhere, so we haven't seen any of these Eastern teams play, really, have we?
We have not. We've got Eric Cortez has been over in Iowa City to see the Iowa City West boys play a couple times, but I don't know. Should we just start with 1A since our production meeting didn't happen? We're just going to work on this on the fly.
I like that. So let's go for it.
So here's my only thing I've got, Dan, in my research. 1A, we don't, there's one local team to Des Moines and Des Moines Christian, but the only thing I see is like West Liberty. They were pretty exciting last year. They're back. But otherwise, we've kind of got a mix of schools from and Western Christian Hold. Remember those boys?
I do.
They were good.
They were.
As well. So Iowa City Regina's in your kind of in your neck of the woods. You got Waterloo, Columbus Catholic, GC.
Yeah, I feel these teams, and I think obviously Gladbrook, Rhinebeck, I think, they're like 18-0, but, the one thing about 1A, I feel like, they seem to be very regional, so they don't play teams really outside of region very much, but, so it's hard to digest where they're at. I saw Regina play Bettendorf, first game of the year. They're young, but I think they, Bettendorf being a 4A team, it was, it was actually kind of back and forth, even though the scoreline might have not shown that. So, I know that they can play a bit. West Liberty's got Juan Mateo up front. He's pretty dynamic scorer. I've seen them once or twice, and he does a really nice job. There one kid from last year that I think he scored in overtime. He's playing football at UNI. So he was like a holding or a forward last year. They got really good holding mid too. So they're tough out. Western Christian's good, from last year. Obviously, Trainer I saw once this year. Ironically, I was seeing another game out on the west side. They're a nice team. They got fairly deep. It's a little bit, I guess, probably frustrating. Western Christian's played Trainer, I think. West Liberty's played Regina. Gladbrook, Rhinebeck's played Waterloo, Columbus. So they all got to play teams that are more regional, just the way the seating worked out. But I don't
Trainer's
know
basically like Omaha, huh?
Yeah, right.
I wonder if there's like guys that play club in Omaha over there.
I think there are. Yeah,
you would know. You would know. We should have let you give a shout out for your top student athlete recruiting. We'll let you do that at the end, but that's cool. you know a few players that aren't just in the eastern part of the state.
Just a couple. Yeah,
just a couple.
Yeah, so I mean, you talked about Juan Mateo, leading goal scorer in 1A for West Liberty, but then you've got Will Farnsworth, the Regina goalkeeper, if he's the full-time goalkeeper, he's literally allowed 2 goals all year.
That's not very many.
No. I don't know. Can you give predictions, or are you going to be, do you have to stay unbiased in your role? Because we love predictions and we'll give them, but
I'm totally.
Who do you see coming out of the 1A field to win it on Saturday night?
Oh, I don't know enough about Gladbrook Rhinebeck being the #1 seed, but
So
I like
remember,
Western. I liked
remember
Western Christian. I liked Western Christian last year.
okay. Western Christian made the final last year as the 1 seed, lost to Assumption.
Assumption's been bumped
And
up.
they've moved up. So you're going
Very
with
curious about
Western
that.
Christian. That was going to be my pick. I don't want to pick the same one. So I'm going to go West Liberty.
Well, I'm going to go Des Moines Christian. Let's go local team. A little surprise upset.
I love it. I love it.
All right, 2A. So, and I'm super curious about 2A because Assumption, well, we know on the girls' side was like an absolute powerhouse, but on the boys' side as well, like they've long time top of the table group there or team there, and so bumping up to 2A, that's kind of interesting. Have you seen them this year?
Well, I'm an Assumption grad. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, fancy boy.
Yeah, something like that, right? This was before I'm way back before state soccer even existed. So I'm old. We didn't even have a state soccer tournament. So they're kind of a juggernaut right now, right? I saw some of the game against Pleasant Valley and with the penalty kicks against, the 2-time defending 4A champ.
I was gonna say they're usually beating three, like when it was 3 classes and they were 1A, they were still beating 3A teams like regularly.
Well, and their coach retired last year, right?
So Zeller retired. Chad Holmer is the coach now. He's the coach at St. Ambrose.
His son didn't take over. We thought it was going to be a dynasty.
Right. So Chad Holmer is the coach at St. Ambrose, which it's kind of a neat situation. St. Ambrose and Assumption kind of share a athletic facility. And so, they have a nice little setup over there with like 3 turf fields, and it's a pretty cool setup. I think Assumption's, the team to beat, obviously, even though they bumped up, to 2A with the changes. I don't know enough about, the west side with Heelan. I know that Gilbert, have you seen Gilbert?
No.
Super athletic, super having a great year. Last year, I think they beat Marion in the quarterfinal. They just have a ton of athletic dudes. So I can see my prediction on that one. I'm going to jump into it. I'm going to say Assumption versus Gilbert final.
With the winner being?
Well, come on. I went to Assumption.
Got it.
Well, I'm just excited because we've got sort of like the I-35 group down here. You got Webster City, Nevada. Gilbert's going to be in town. Perry, obviously, they're off of 141, but a lot of Central Iowa sort of, I bet you we'll have a big turnout for 2A. That's all I'm saying. Really.
So here's a little thing. I don't know if you guys saw this. So Perry,
I love
it. We did a little mini pitch at Perry Elementary. Those kids love it. That's our shameless plug.
Yeah, so I'm going for Perry.
Former coach was Gary Overla. Their new coach, I don't know if you guys saw this, wore an Alan Jackson shirt for the sub-state final. They won. So he's in the picture. You guys should all look this up on Perry's Twitter account.
I might have to change my vote.
It is like an old school Alan Jackson concert t-shirt. You guys have to, maybe Evan can put that in there, but it is an unbelievable photo.
All right, well, if he is listening, I hope that he wears something of the same sorts for the state tournament.
I've got to do some more research. Well done,
Ben. As you do your prediction, make it last a little. I'll text you guys this picture so you can look it up.
So then, I want an all Central Iowa final just because it'll be packed. But it does sound like Assumption's gonna be tough to beat.
They virtually the same team from last year.
They were
and
really good.
They're all bigger. They're all bigger, stronger, faster, man. Like they're good.
I'm also a reasonable person. So what I want is that whoever wins the Perry Assumption game, I want them to win. Let's put it that way.
All right. Dan, do you know anything about this Drew Robinson boy from Nevada? He scored a ton of goals last year. He scored 39 again this year.
Stop. That's incredible.
And so I was just curious more than anything, but
not really. I just saw him last year at the that game against West Liberty, right? Athletic kid, and dangerous every time he gets it. And so it'll be interesting. They were 1A last year too, right? Wasn't Nevada?
They were 2A. Or I don't know.
No, because they played West Liberty, I thought. Maybe I'm wrong.
We've got it pulled. Yeah, they lost to West Liberty 3-2. You're right. They were the 5 seeded 1A last year.
It was a really good game. That was a fun
It
game.
was. It
Yeah.
was. I do remember that. Okay, well, so we're thinking that it's basically whoever comes
Unanimous.
out. Yeah, it's either Assumption or Perry.
I don't know, man. I'm saying Gilbert's going to be tough out, man. But
Okay.
I think Assumption, I got to go with my alma mater, right?
Yep.
That's fair. We understand. We haven't heard the 4A picks yet, have we?
No, then that's when you guys are going to go. I'm just living in 2A now. So,
well, let's move on to 3A, which is actually also. I mean, I griped a little bit about the expansion of the classes, but now we get to this point, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go there real quick. Like bumping up to four classes on the boys' side, the number of sub-state games that were not competitive, especially in the final, was an interesting piece. Like there were a few,
right.
there was only a handful, I think, of actual close games, just because it kind of, I don't want to say watered down, but I don't know. I just
No, that's a good point. But at the same time, I think then it also adds to the excitement next week at County. You get these teams that have had pretty good years getting a chance to go there and make things happen. I don't know. To me, I like it, but I do totally get what you mean. There's got to be a better way to find your top 8 teams to keep it competitive.
You got anything over there, Dan?
For
like, I mean, you saw it over there. Like don't you agree? Do you agree that there was a lot of blowouts in the sub-states?
I mean, for sure.
Finals?
For sure. I mean, look at, obviously, Liberty won 10-0. They had to call the game short, that stuff, and they're not even a top seed, right? They're a 6th seed, and how that's all played out. But yeah, it's you only got to win 2 games, right? Maybe 3, to get to state. I'm being a former college guy. I remember I was recruiting in Illinois my first couple of years of coaching, and Illinois had 1 class, and you had to win 10 games. It was pretty sweet to get, and they only took 4 teams to state, and it was, to win a state championship was kind of crazy, right? And just to win, so teams were like, if you were the sectional champion, it was a huge deal because, that type of thing. But I get it. Getting more teams there, the excitement. The one thing I'll say about it is, I love and you guys are there too. I think you guys are here with me. Like this, it's one of my favorite days of the year, right? Like quarterfinal day, and now we have an extra. I mean, it's gonna make a longer day for all of us that are watching all the games. And but man, the excitement and energy with 32 teams at one site is gonna be pretty sweet. So
yeah, we're here for it.
Let's jump into 3A.
Yes,
Used to be the biggest class, now it's second biggest, but Hoover, the 1 seed.
Take on Xavier.
Yep. So again, like
another bumped up squad.
Xavier, yeah, kind of perennial powerhouse, struggled record wise. Maybe Amir's departure had more to do it. I don't know. Just he's no
I
longer.
saw him play a couple times. They're dangerous. They're young. They, I think they got better as the season went on. They had some. They were in, as the season got towards the end, they were. Either more competitive in games. I mean, they're playing up in a big school class and obviously in the MVC and, but as the season continued, they got better and better. And they were, like I said, fairly young, some good freshmen and sophomores that are making a big impact for them. So, I don't know anything about Hoover. I haven't seen them this year. You guys would know more. So they've had a great year.
We tried to go to 3 of their games and all 3 got canceled. So
that's true. Yeah, this is super true.
But they're back. I mean, remember Hoover back in our day, and
yeah, they were.
Kennedy was coach. I think they made state years ago, and Rubino's got the Des Moines Public School back in it. And they beat a pretty good little Pella team 2-1 to make it. Sure. So
yeah, Pella was rolling teams. So yeah, that's a nice win. I mean, they're gonna be really good, I think. So
Kralik got the Norwalk Warriors back. Humble getting bumped up a class. And then local flavor DCG against, like you said, Iowa City Liberty.
That'll be a good game.
That'll be a really good game.
Dallas Center Grimes was fun to watch last year, and they sort of had a little heartbreaker to lose, and they lost some penalties, didn't they? I think that's right. And then on the bottom of the bracket, you've got Marion as the 2 seed taking on Denison, and I would guess Denison's probably pretty good.
I've seen that a lot. There's a Denison. I refereed some Denison in like this little tournament. These guys can ball.
Yeah, I
Straight up ball.
for work. I had to go out there, and it was like it was a super heavy Latino community.
Oh yeah.
So I gotta
These
bet
dudes-
I bet they
these
could
dudes-
tear it up.
I saw him playing against men, and it was like an open tournament. And I didn't know how old the kids were, right? And they got done, and then these kids went over and played a high school game after that, like a U16. And the kid, like this kid that was the best player in the field, I'm like, how old is that kid? And they're like, he's a sophomore. I'm like, oh boy, they're gonna be good.
So can they defend? Because Jackson Kirsch is an absolute
Yeah, that's
beast.
true.
I mean, he scored 69 goals again this year.
I'm excited about that game. I looked at some of these matchups. The DCG Liberty game. I mean, I want to see that. Marion Denison. I think that's going to be exciting. Yeah, I think you're right. Can they defend? I don't know, but
Might be like a 7-6 regular time result.
I just hope that we can put ourselves between the right field. But as you know, like that's going to be just a batty sort of couple hours where it's just like, hear a cheer from one field, hear a cheer from the other field, and run over there and run back. What's your prediction there, Dan?
Oh, I'm always picking first. Come on, you guys got to pick first.
All right, Siebes, lead us off.
All right, I'm gonna vote with my heart and not my head. So Hoover, those boys, we did a little project. Again, they got a mini pitch at their school, but we did a project with them a couple weeks ago for a coaching education course. We kind of hammered Lincoln and some other programs for not showing up. Rubino had literally every guy there. He's got them. They're balanced. I'm gonna go with Hoover to go chalk. Is that what they say? Go chalk with the 1 seed, going to take it all.
Yeah, I'm a Huskies guy too. I live in Des Moines, so sorry to everybody else. I do want to see Denison play. I'm very excited, so I'd like to see a little Denison Hoover in the final.
And I got some friends of mine coaching here. Colin Lane at DCG. Cray
All
Lane.
right, Colin.
Yeah, and Kralik at Norwalk.
That's true.
I'm gonna go DCG. DCG Liberty winner. I don't know who that will be. I'm gonna say the winner of that game against Hoover, and I'll go the winner of the DCG Liberty game.
All right. I tell you what, regardless, we better get our running shoes on because we're gonna be wanting halftime interviews at all those games, aren't we? I am, at least. Okay, so let's talk 4A, which shamelessly we get a little excited about because it's the big class, and I guess we live in the big city a little bit. So I went to Valley, Blake went to Johnston. Both those squads are back. Valley's going to play Centennial.
Duex at his alma mater.
I love
coaching
that.
against like his alma mater. They beat. I mean, I think the talking point there is Centennial beat Joaquin Northwest in the sub-state final, who was back-to-back runner-up, right? Northwest.
That's true. Yeah. Well, so Ankeny Centennial too. I think Centennial, they're the dark horse for sure. You just you clicked it away, but I'm thinking they're like close to 500 overall with their record. So that's why they get the 8th seed. But they had some of their losses are against good teams, and they've got a front three that is formidable. You've got Andrew Heckenleibel, that's going to St. Louis University. And then you've got Rashidi, whose last name I'm not going to try to pronounce, but he is going to Grandview. And then you've got Ty Duax behind them playing in the number 10 role. And all three of those guys will be playing in college and doing things. I think Rashid is a senior, but the other two are juniors.
He is. No, you're right. I mean, I was surprised by their record based on that group. But I'm not surprised by the result against Joaquin Northwest. That obviously was a great game. I've seen Northwest play. They're a very good team, but a tough little bracket there. Like going back to what you said earlier, there are some blowouts, but then you got an Ankeny Centennial versus Northwest in a sub-state final. It's a pretty good game. So
it was. We've heard several people that was a good game. Sounds like there was some controversial refereeing, but so it goes. It's just like anything, you got to deal with it. So we've seen Valley play. They were good, but pretty direct, pretty athletic overall, and had some good little players. I like their central midfield couple there. Was it Greer Watson and number 8? I can't think his name, but they're good. I just think they should play through him more. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. Whether you got Johnson, the Drags back.
Rematch from last year when Prairie beat them
Right.
1-0.
And so we'll see. I'm sure Jimmy Frizzell, the coach there, Johnston will have them fired up. Kurt Lewis, he's got his boys organized for sure. We got the Titan tactician taking a peek in the window right now. He might have some thoughts, so we might get him on the mic here in a sec. But
Johnson's on a roll, by the way, too. So they started, I don't know, they lost to DCG like opening weekend, and I find out they were missing a few players. I think there was some unrest amongst the supporters from Johnston back at the beginning of the year, asking for the coach's job, actually. But no, Frizzell's got him rolling, and Kurt Lewis is back again. He's kind of got that program established a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen them play several times. I mean, my son plays in 4A, so I see a lot of 4A games on the east side, right? Plays for Dubuque Senior. That's my shameless plug there. So, yeah, they had Prairie's good. They're organized. They're solid all the way through. They're good defensively, and they're getting it done. They beat Pleasant Valley to get there, in a shootout. In a really good game. So, I think, and we got some nice matchups here. Again, it's, some of the frustration for me is like, okay, we got Valley playing Centennial. They probably played already, and then you got obviously West playing Kennedy, but and then Johnston plays Prairie. But that it is how it is. The seeding is based on some statistics and numbers and stuff like that. So, what's up, Sayhag? What's up?
What's up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful.
Speaking of shameless,
See, he
plugs,
calls me Sayhag. It's my real name.
Boy, this is our shameless plug for the YouTube channel, but I guess you'll probably enjoy it as well if you're just listening to the podcast, because now we've got Matt Sayhag, the tactician, the admiral of analysis.
So let's talk Iowa City West Kennedy. So is Michael Nelson fully recovered and back, or what's the update?
We just played him in the sub-state final, my son's team, and he scored 4. He's back.
Wow.
Okay.
Does anybody know what's he doing next year? Dan, do you know? Is he
going to St. Olaf?
St. Olaf,
Minnesota.
Yeah. Okay.
Strong D3 program up there, yeah.
Yeah, they're very good, and yeah, he looked really good the other night. They eased him into the season. I think he played like 12 minutes a game the first couple games. And he's eased in, but I think he's at 20 goals already right now. So,
what was the injury?
He had a lower leg injury. He'll have he's wearing a knee brace. You'll see.
Fair enough. So
what about Kennedy? So I mean, that's Adam Ziener's his old school alma mater. Yeah. What I mean, they hung around the top 5, like it seemed like ranked all year, but they just have appeared. I mean, they used to be a good little program. They haven't been around really a lot lately. What's the story there? Anything?
Yeah, they've got it going again. They got they got some flavor, some international flavor, and some guys in there that can do some things. Some really nice technical players with some speed and athleticism in the midfield, and they've done well. They took care of. City High was one of their only losses, and they reconciled that the other night. So they got back at it, and I think they had a really good game with West. Maybe it was a 1-0. I think they played West already. And I think it was maybe 1-0 in favor of West or something like that. But I think, it'll be a really good game. Like I said, for me as a Eastern guy, like seeing the 2 Eastern teams have to play each other. Prairie's the third one in there, right? Like, it's a little unfortunate, but I think it'll be a good matchup. But I think Iowa City West, and talking to the people at the game the other night, they feel like they're coming together and they're stronger than they were last year.
So Styles just won number 400 as well, I believe.
Was it 400? Yeah, they looked good the other night, man. I'm telling you, they got kids all over the field that can play. They're dangerous. They got, some guys that can just go at you, and they can possess it, but they're not afraid to go direct when they need to. I like them. I think they're going to be. I haven't seen all the central teams like you guys have, but I think if they're they come out of that other half of the bracket, they're going to be a tough out.
Yeah, and I think before we move on to the next piece, I do think it's interesting how, despite, like the teams changing year to year and the way things work, Styles has a whole culture there, and they are a winning team, and they find ways to win, and they're a perennial state champion, and it's just one of those, they're going to be tough to beat no matter what, no matter when you find them, no matter when you see them, right?
They lost last year too in the first round at Pleasant Valley.
They did, but they're not they're always, but it seems like they're always at state, right? I mean, I can't always. Matt, let's talk a little bit about Dowling Catholic and Ames. We didn't get a chance to see Ames for similar reasons that we talked about earlier, with just games getting canceled here and there. We did get some highlights off of them, and we know the staff up there, Coach McGowan, and then we're buddies with Coach Damian Corriere, who I'm sure is listening to this, probably while he's coaching with one earbud in. But they played Dowling. And actually, first, let's just talk about Ames beating Des Moines East.
Wait, and remember, Ames won the little preseason Johnston Invitational,
did.
like 77.
Where Johnson didn't even get out of their bracket.
Yeah, so they beat East to come, and we saw East once at the beginning of the year. East, I mean, I love the rankings, right? East was ranked number 1 for
at least a day. But yeah, and it's interesting. Then they end up getting, they get a tough sub-state final, which, I don't know, I think that's probably the way it should be, but Ames comes out on top. And to me, Ames is always one of those teams too. Like they're always tough to beat. Just no matter what year you find them, whoever's the coach, whoever the players are, they're tough. And they take on Dowling, who also, speaking of days, as the 1 seed. They spent maybe weeks, but not that many. What do you think about them, Saheg?
Yeah, you
welcome
watched
to the conversation. Give us some analysis.
Yeah, I like Dowling. I would. I'd have.
Somebody had a late night last night as well. Ben went golfing with the drink staff, a little slow morning, and Matt clearly had a shocker last night too. It sounds like.
I like Dowling over Ames. So sorry, Ames guys, but I think they'll take that one. If I recall, I haven't followed Ames too closely. I just remember kind of being on the text message back and forth with a couple of guys talking about how many goals Ames was conceding early on. So I don't know if they fixed that sort of issue or not, but I'd say just because of that, I'm going to go with Dowling.
Mendez is a good little player up top for them.
Yeah,
got that Goodrell, Barca.
Yep, all those guys. I'm trying to remember. Crowder's the other one that was. I watched one of the games they played. He had a hat trick.
I'll be interested to see what Coach Teeling's sneaker situation is. He's going kind of like a little mini Berhalter with the shoes.
Is that a shot at his height, mini? Oh. Have you seen it? Well, so let's go. We're gonna kick it back to you, boss. There, Dan. What? Who's your pick in 4A, or what's the final look like for you?
Man, this is.
I know it's tough, but you gotta make some choices.
Gotta make some choices. We're gonna go with a West Des Moines final, Valley versus Dowling.
I love that. That'd be great.
Wow, 1v2.
That'd be a good final.
It would be berserk. County would be absolutely.
It would. Who wins that game?
Oh man, that's a tough call. I'm gonna go. Broderick helping out with Valley.
He is.
Oh man. So I'm gonna have to go with Dowling.
I like it.
Wow.
What about you, Saheg?
I don't know. It's really hard. I've seen Valley play, Johnston play, and Dowling play this year. And out of the 3 of them, the team that was the most dominant in all the games that I saw was actually Johnston, because Johnston battered Dowling. We saw Valley play Waukegan Northwest and lose in penalties, right? So, okay, overtime, whatever it was. For me, Valley wasn't really all that threatening, except for the big boy up top, Knipsu. So I think if teams can find a way to neutralize Knipsu, I think Valley is not as strong. Sorry, Ben. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be Johnston or Dowling that wins it.
You got to pick one.
But here's the problem: I haven't seen any of these Eastern teams, and so I have no idea. I'm not going to pick one. Sorry, guys.
A measured response.
Yeah, it is measured. That is so measured. Yeah. It's all about matchups, right? Like, all these teams, I think any of these teams can win. And then when you get the next matchup, it depends how it all plays out. So it's like, such a hard read on any of this. So, I don't, say Hags, not being able to make a decision. I get it. It's, like I said, I thought West was really good. Obviously, West is great, but I haven't seen the Central teams as much. I hope
It's also not possible for me to be wrong at the end of this. Whereas for you guys, someone might make a prediction that's incorrect.
Centennial could score they could score 6 goals a game though, concede 4 and win it because they.
I mean, I'm gonna have people mad at me. Damien's gonna be mad at me. I said Dowling, right? Like, and then the
I'm
West
always
guys
mad
are
at
gonna be
you.
mad at me. Everyone's
too.
gonna be mad at me. So you put me in a tough spot. Maybe I shouldn't have done this podcast.
Steve's, who's your pick?
It's
You
gotta
going
go.
Drags?
Got to be Drags' first ever state title. Frizzell's gonna bring it home.
Yeah, but last year, I mean, they went tumbling out, didn't they?
They
Remember
did,
that
very.
first game? We didn't even see Frizzell for the rest of the
Yeah.
tournament. He wouldn't show his
He didn't come
face.
back, did he? He's gonna be there all week because they're gonna be in it.
I'm
Saturday.
excited about that rematch. It's a good, Prairie's super organized, and that's gonna be a fun game right there.
So that is a rematch. That's who they lost to.
in the
Ooh.
first round, too. So I have to say, like, that's one of my favorite people to root against is Jimmy Frizzell, just because it riles him up. I do hope they do well, but I bet you they lose in that first round against Prairie, to be honest. And then Aziz is going to kill me, but I think that when it's all said and done, that Dowling team, like they play some good soccer. They've got good young players, and they're going to be jacked up. And I think Teeling's maybe got them on the path.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say it's a little unfair just to assume that these Des Moines teams are going to walk through it. I mean, Pleasant Valley is the,
Two-time
back-to-back
champion.
state champ. Obviously, they went out of it last night or the night before. But I mean, the eastern side of the state, for us anyway, like if they're just kind of we don't know much about them. So I know that's why Rother's on, but I mean, that's why I've got no idea.
I mean, they're organized. I mean, I don't know enough about Kennedy. I've seen a few, clips on them. But Prairie was super organized and gives up very few goals and very well. Kurt's, been around a long time. He's done a nice job. Iowa City West, like I said, everybody I talked to said, and I saw them play the other night. They're peaking. Nelson's back at, looks like he's pretty much at full strength. I think that was a concern early on in the year, and I mean, they could jump in there too. And, I think, I don't know enough about Ames, but they've been, organized too. I mean, obviously they they're giving up very few goals and putting themselves in a good spot all year. So, man, and then that Ankeny Centennial with that 3-headed monster up front, right? Like they're going to be dangerous. That's going to be a fun group. I mean, that whole thing is 4A is, throw it up in the air. I think we've done that the last couple of years. PV comes out, as a 6th seed the last 2 years. They were a 6th seed both years. So,
Well,
There you go. That means Kennedy's the winner. I'm going with Kennedy. I made a decision.
going with your college teammates on water. I like it. So
Yeah, I want to see Big Z out there cheering his team on too.
I would like to see that. Okay, well, let's we've talked a lot about the boys. We are pretty boys heavy in the stuff that we cover because we're boys. But so let's talk about the girl stuff too, though, because it's also arguably an even better tournament. You still got three classes, and the girls union does an excellent job of putting on an awesome event. So we'll certainly be in for a good deal there. Let's talk a little bit about 1A. We watched a lot of that last year. So you've got Des Moines Christian at the top of the bracket, having only lost a couple games this year, taking on Hudson. Then you've got Gilbert against Underwood on the other side there, and then Nevada against Bishop Heelan, and then the always difficult Davenport Assumption taking on Van Meter. Davenport Assumption last year, they lost for the first time in like 6 years, or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
So Des Moines Christian with the first win in program history, and then they were really tough to beat. A lot of strong players. What'd you think there, guys?
Well, Des Moines Christian, little insight is not, I don't think is back to full force. Sammy Webster is out with the ACL. So she's not playing at all. I think Isabel Garcia is, I don't know, maybe not full strength if playing at all either. So Van Meter's back in the mix. They're not back. They're like a newer program, so they're in it. That's a pretty cool thing for the central Iowa area. But I would just go with Davenport Assumption because been there, done that.
What do you got, say? Hey,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about a lot of these groups, but if history repeats itself, and then given that Des Moines Christian is not operating at full strength, probably Davenport Assumption. I haven't seen much in Nevada at all. I think we can probably expect kind of like a big, strong team that that sort of physically imposes themselves if they're like other Nevada teams I've seen in the past. So, but yeah, I mean, if you don't have Garcia and you don't have Webster, that's a killer for your squad. They've got a number of other good players, but that's a game changer, so to speak. So could be a big upset, really. Hudson could knock off the defending state champion in 1A. I wouldn't be surprised. I hope it doesn't happen because I know a lot of those girls in the Des Moines Christian team, but I'll be interested to see how that game goes. It'll be telling, certainly, in terms of how Des Moines Christian might play throughout the rest of the event. But just looking at the bracket, if I had to pick one right now, knowing what I know, it'd be Davenport Assumption.
Dan, what do you think?
Well, I'm Des Moines
biased.
Christian was dominant last year. I thought Des Moines Christian was pretty awesome, but if they're out with a few girls, that might change some things. Gilbert's pretty doing, even 12-5, but I think they played maybe a little bit stronger strength of schedule. They got some players on that team that are super dangerous. Nevada, strong all the way around, very athletic. Assumption, I don't know if they're as strong as they were last year. They graduated quite a bit. The Jackson girl up top is gone. Their center mid, Grayson Ruggles graduated. They're all playing at Division I schools. So I'm going to go Nevada.
Nice.
We talked to their coach a couple years ago. Nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice guy.
I
Yeah.
like it.
All right,
Okay.
2A.
Let's do it. Waverly Shell Rock as the 1 seed with only a single loss on the year, taking on North Polk. I've never seen North Polk play, but I think again that's one of those where like local team, they'll be out there in full force. Then you got Pella taking on Adel DeSoto Minburn, ADM. Then you got Dow Center Grimes against Marion. Dow Center Grimes last year state champs. Elena Bartok there, sort of the player of the tournament for them. She was a stud. And then you've got I was
Sorry, Ben.
actually reading
Here.
that. Thank you. And then you've got North Scott taking on Spencer on the other end of the bracket. North Scott is the 3 seed. So what do you think, Siebes? You got any insight
I think
here?
DCG, yeah, they went over and played Scott Catholic out of Omaha earlier in the year. Or Scott came to Des Moines, one of the two. They played each other, and some insight there was DCG was good. They were really good. So obviously Waverly Shell Rock's been our traditional power, right? But I'm gonna go local DCG,
Two-time
back to
champs?
back
Ooh.
state champions.
I'll be interested to watch DCG again because I remember actually their top player I thought was one of their strikers last year, that Avery
Yeah.
Corshine, I think her
She's
name was.
young now. She was like a freshman or sophomore.
No, I think
No,
she
she's
graduated.
at
Yeah.
Minnesota. Yeah, she's playing college
Oh,
soccer.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. I thought they had a. Okay, well,
But so I'll be interested to see where their goals are coming from this year. Obviously, they've had a 15-3 year so far, so that'll be
Elena
interesting.
Bartok doing it all.
I think that's probably I don't know how they replace her, so I'll be interested to see if they once they start going up with some of the best teams in the state, if they maybe get shut down. So I'm not going to pick DCG. I don't know very much about the rest of the grouping, but I'm going to go with Pella. It's just a feeling I've got.
They've got so supposedly this
You Dutch?
Abby Warner. She scored 44 goals on the season. She's they say she's actually pretty good. You got
Well,
Scott
I mean,
Treff
if she
down
scored
there,
44
and
times, she's probably not actually pretty good. She probably
It is really good.
Yeah.
You're right.
Rother, what you got? Any thoughts on
Man, this is a fun bracket, to be honest. I think
I'm glad you're being honest, because if you weren't being honest, that'd be
Oh,
an
Steve's gotta get a
interesting
partner.
conversation.
you're right, true. Well, maybe I'm not completely honest because I got friends here playing. I got kids.
Well, that's
I
being
work with
honest.
playing. I like I've seen North Scott. They are pretty deep. On the eastern side of the state. I like what they've done against mostly 4A teams and stuff like that. But Spencer was really good last year. I remember in the tournament, I liked them, and they got a freshman, I think, who scored a lot of goals. DCG, I've heard is really good. ADM's got, really good striker. Waverly Shell Rock's obviously the team to beat. I'm gonna go. And then North Polk's got some really nice players. They had a pretty tough schedule. They had to beat Bondurant, who I think they played earlier in the year and lost to. So I'm gonna go Waverly versus North Scott. They played last year, I think, in the first round, and that was a really actually pretty good game. Waverly won, maybe 2-1 or something like that. So I'm gonna go. That's the final. Waverly North Scott. Coin flip on who wins that.
Bracket. Who you like?
I like DCG, but we'll see. Let's talk 3A.
Central Iowa heavy.
Super heavy.
What's up with that, Rothert?
Did you see the bracket was weird? Like the sub-states like Ankeny, like, you know, in the boys' side, you know, I feel like, you know, it's very regional, you know, that it's
But the girls' side, they just straight up rank the teams. Like they don't, and usually they get the best 8 teams at state. Like that's sort of the difference.
Right.
Is like,
so like Bettendorf
Bettendorf
had to go to Ankeny Centennial, right? And you know,
Iowa City West had to play Ankeny, I think, correct?
Yeah, Waukee had to go to Pleasant Valley, which was the only Eastern team that, you know, and Linn-Mar. Those are the 2 Eastern teams. But you know, it was, when you looked at it, it was like, oh man, they made teams go across the state 3 hours to play, you know, a game, versus where on the boys' side they keep it pretty regional. So
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because
I don't mind that. I think it's given the best teams the best chance, right? I don't
right,
mind.
but you say that, and then it's just like, as the Valley guy, I know that we played like Sioux City North in the final, but then the rest of the bracket was Fort Dodge and another Sioux City team. So like, to me, sometimes it just like doesn't make sense at all. And then you've got, I don't know. I think if you just go based on talent or, you know, record or best teams or however you want to, whatever you want to say, like, I like the way the girls do it. Although we do have a very central heavy field here. So let's just run through it. You got Waukee Northwest, top of the bracket, only lost once all year, taking on Centennial, defending state champ there. Are they 2-time state champs? 3-time? 2-time Centennial? I know they.
It was a revenge tour last year, so I don't know what.
Okay, so then maybe
Chris is going to label it this year.
Yeah, we'll find out. Regardless, then you've got Valley against Pleasant Valley there, and then
good luck announcing that one, Justin Forster, with all the valleys in there.
That can be fun. We'll just probably go Tigers against the, what are they?
Spartans.
That's right, the Spartans. And then you've got Ankeny against Dowling Catholic. I'm excited for Dowling Catholic to get back just because I'm a big John Pearson fan. Then you've got Johnston taking on Linn-Mar at the bottom end of the bracket. So again, the only Eastern Iowa flair we've got is Linn-Mar and Pleasant Valley. Everything else is just straight here in the metro. So at the least, we know we're going to have a lot of action at county. Dan, what do you think? Who are your teams in the?
And I think Waukee Northwest. I'm trying to look it up right now. I mean, their only loss was at this. You know, there's this nice little tournament at TBK now. It used to be in Burlington. It's like
tournament champions. Yeah.
And their only loss was to like the Wisconsin state champion, right? So I think that they're pretty darn good. I'm gonna go Waukee Northwest.
Well, Tony Gabriel bringing a first state championship to the girls there. Interesting. Bracket. What are you thinking?
I'm going to pick against my religious beliefs and go with Dowling Catholic again because I'm a big JP fan. Let's go, JP.
That'd be a pretty big result. Number 7 to win it. Wow.
Yeah, I love JP. That's all there is to it.
Interesting. It's interesting that like Ankeny Centennial is number 8 and Ankeny is number 2. So you just got this crosstown rival, right? And then you've got this disparity in the rankings. I don't know, in terms of the top 8. So my observation here is I mean, I know a bunch of the seniors on a lot of these teams. They're 2005, just because I knew them when they were 10, 11, and 12. Obviously stayed in touch with them. But I think it's interesting that a lot of these kids, and I don't doubt it's the same way in other groupings too, but a lot of these kids actually play in the same team together. So I know players at Waukee Northwest, Valley, Dowling, and Johnston all sort of have players that play against each other. So I think that's going to add an interesting sort of element to a lot of these games, just because you've got players that are familiar with each other. And again, I don't doubt that's in the same way in other brackets too. I just know it's the case here. So I think that's going to be an interesting wrinkle. If I had to pick a team that's going to win it, God, again, I have no idea.
Thanks, Matt.
He's being nice. He knows all these girls. He doesn't want to hurt their feelings. I know.
It's not that. It's just I don't know. Like I just don't know.
Hello, because you felt good about him in the last round. So like, why can't you just look at a name and feel good about it in this round?
I just don't feel good about anybody in this round.
I
Do you
do.
think
I
it's-
think Northwest is going to absolutely steamroll everybody. I bet they win every game by at least 3 goals. And
Yeah.
they're
Until they meet
dominant.
Dowling
So
finally,
if I
they'll
was
be
leaning-
fired up.
If I was
I'm
leaning
going with,
one way,
I'm going with Seabers. I'm going with you.
yeah, I mean, so if I was leaning one way too, I mean, I think that's who's going to win it. It's pulling me just a little bit that way. So I guess I'll go Walking
A little
Northwest
tug
too.
from the wolves. Fair enough.
All right, Gabriel, you almost a consensus for the first time. Let's see if you can
I'm just
do it.
being pro JP. So okay. Well, thank you, Dan, for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday morning, bright and early, for the 1A
10 a.m.?
quarterfinal. Well, not bright and early, but you
Yes,
consider.
I gotta leave my house at like 6 a.m. to get there for a 10 a.m. game. You know.
Yeah, it's the first hour of many that we will see you.
Yeah.
But we're pretty pumped up for the week. Get your sunscreen out. It looks like it's going to be a warm one. Weatherman, have you checked the weather?
I have 90s all week, boys. Little
No.
potential chance of rain on Wednesday, but that'll be great and to add the humidity in that.
Yeah. So, and no cloud cover, didn't it look like? So
Looks like the girls play right in the heat of the day too, don't they? I guess they play in the morning too, but oof.
yeah. So anyway, we'll be there with bells on. Please come see us at the tent. Feel free to come help us out with any watching of games. We love input from our supporters, and
Cool couple additions this year to activities.
right,
Couple contests.
we're gonna have a little juggling contest. We're gonna have a hardest kick,
Hardest who can boot it the
yeah,
fastest.
hardest boot. So it should be fun. Dan, we'll see how hard you kick the ball. I'm guessing not very.
I'm old, man. I'm like pulling Achilles doing that or something.
Do we have a shot count on the amount of times you said you're old today? I'm at 3 personally. I've heard it 3 times.
We believe you.
All right, boys. Great chat. See you next week.
What else, Dan? You want to close it out?
Oh, I'm excited to be there. So like I said, I love to, we get how many teams in 2 days? The first 2 days we're gonna have 56 teams playing. I mean, just the excitement is, as many teams are there. I mean, there's not really a state tournament, I think, in the country that's like that because of, usually they have 4 teams go and on less classes and things like that. So it is a very celebration of soccer in the state, which is pretty cool.
Quick plug for top student athlete recruiting.
Yeah, I hope help college coaches and soccer prospects connect and help them find great opportunities that are the right fit for them. So I work with a lot of the best players in the state to help them, connect with coaches that they might not normally connect. And as we know, Iowa sometimes is a flyover state in the recruiting scene, and use my connections and understanding of the process to reduce some stress and help find good opportunities and even save some money. So that's my goal.
What's your website?
TSArecruiting.com.
There you go. You can also find our website at kifsoccer.com. Instagram and Facebook, we're at KIF Soccer. And then on Twitter, we're at KIF_soccer. Tune into those next week to get all sorts of good stuff. And then you got to be checking out our YouTube channel because we're planning a pretty sweet little recap show every day. And we'll see how that goes because it might be funny. It might be really great.
It might be a disaster.
Who knows? All right. See you next week. Good luck to all the teams.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, guys.